Hey you guys, this is Miss Quigley doing a short reteach on how to do the Desmos name graph project. Each time you write an equation, you're going to want to start with the parent function for a linear equation. The parent function is the most basic version of the equation. It is always going to be y equals x, okay? So always start with that. Next question you ask yourself is if I want to make this line more inclined or less inclined. What I mean by more inclined is that the line would start to go up higher, okay? It's like it's steeper, it is more inclined, okay? Steeper. Or maybe I want it to be less steep, where it's a little bit flatter. You get to make that choice. Now let's say I'm starting to make the letter Q. I want to make the Q a box like this. Now it can't be straight up and down, but I can make it pretty darn close. I'm going to start with this line right here. I want it to be pretty much straight up and down, so I'm going to want it to be steeper than this line. So to make something steeper, you change the slope. That's the way you change the incline. You just play around with some numbers. If you want it to get steeper, you're going to use whole numbers like 2. The line just got steeper. Not steep enough for me, so I'm going to try, I don't know, 6. That's okay, but if I keep going and I try 8, no, 10, that looks great for me. Cool, but I don't want this line to show up here. I want it to be like over here somewhere. So I adjust the y-intercept. That's the number after the x. Do I want this line to go up or to go down? Now, if you don't know, you play around. If I say -5, it's moving down. Is it moving towards this way? If you can't tell, make your number bigger. If I make that 15, no, it's not going the direction I need. So I want to make these positive numbers so that it starts moving this direction. This isn't big enough for me, so I'm going to make this number bigger, like maybe, I don't know, 30. Oh, getting closer. How about 50? Even closer. How about 80? That looks about right. That's where I want it. Okay, at this point, once I've written this whole equation, I flip on my paper and I write this down. I can answer the first 5 columns of the paper. Okay, this is your equation, that's column 1. Your slope is 10. It's the number in front of x. It's the way you slope, made it steep or less steep. Your y-intercept is this one. It's a b, and y equals mx plus b. Your x-intercept and 0, which are your next lines on that equation, are found here. You just search on the graph for where it crosses the x-axis. The x-intercept is -8, which means my 0 is also -8. You'd fill out those 5 columns and you keep going. Now I only want this letter Q for Miss Quigley to show up like here. I don't want it to go from -infinity to +infinity. I don't want it to be all real numbers, but I want to change either my domain or my range to adjust the line to only show up a certain place. If I wanted to start here and end there, I'd probably want to tell it to start at 0, right? This is like 0, and end at like, I don't know, 4. Okay, so you're telling me that the bottom number is 0, 0 less than or equal to, on the y-axis. Look, it's cut it off right here. I want it to stop about here, so what was that other number? 4. Less than or equal to 4. And my line has been created to where it's only showing up where I want it. Since there is a y in the middle, this is my range. I'm looking from the bottom to the top. Bottom, top for my range. If I do another line, I can show you domain. I want to make a line that kind of does this. All right, do I want this line to be more steep or less steep? To make something less steep, you change the slope to a fraction, like a half, or maybe a fifth, or maybe a tenth. That looks great to me. But I want this to sort of connect here. So do I want my y-intercept to increase or decrease? Increase would be correct. So you come to the end and you add some numbers, like 1. Sure, that looks great. Doesn't have to be perfect, it needs to be legible. You can get really accurate if you want. Okay. I would flip my paper over, I would write down the equation. I would write down the slope. Sorry, not the x. I'd write down the slope. I would write down the y-intercept. And I would look at the graph and go searching for my x-intercept. my x-intercept is negative 10, which means my 0 is also negative 10. Click the home button to go back to normal. And then I do my domain or range. Now I only want this to be like the first part of my Q, right? The bottom of the letter Q. Which means I really only want it to show up between like here and like there. Since I'm looking at negative 8 and negative 4 along my x-axis, this is the left and this is the right, smaller, bigger. That's how I'd write it in my domain. Use the squiggly brackets. I'd say negative 8 is less than or equal to x, since it's my domain. Let's cut it off. Which is less than or equal to negative 4. Left, right, left, right. I would repeat this process over and over until you ended up spelling out your entire name.